I'm Mike Quackenbush. This is Till We Make It. Right here on my channel, I make videos for fellow professional wrestlers at every single stage of their career. And I do this because when I was just starting out, for the first 3 years I was an active pro, I didn't have a coach to teach me, nor did I have a mentor to guide me. And I really believe lack of access to veteran wisdom, knowledge, and experience played a significant role in my failure to achieve my ultimate career goal. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody else. I don't want that to happen to you, my friend. Today, as I record this for you, it is the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States. And I wanted to take this video and this opportunity to give some thanks. So to pick up from a story that began just seconds ago, for the first 3 years I was an active pro, I didn't have a mentor to guide me. But then, one day, when working for Blaine DeSantis's Pennsylvania Championship Wrestling in 1997, I met an incredibly talented and generous performer named Ace Darling. Ace was the first guy to mentor me in professional wrestling, and in the truest sense, he is my trainer. I think of him as my trainer. He taught me so much. Everything from locker room etiquette to understanding our responsibilities to the audience that we entertain and everything in between. When we were out on the road, he looked out for me, he took me under his wing, and I owe to him a debt that can never be repaid. Even if I made a video series thanking him for everything that he gave to me and then I sent him the link, he probably wouldn't watch it. So the debt will never be repaid, but that doesn't mean that I am not thankful for everything Ace Darling showed me, gave to me, and taught me along the way. He was quite the workhorse in his prime, and his career probably peaked in the 1990s, where if you surf around, you'll find him on Raw here or Monday Nitro there. In addition to which, he was a utility player, that most valuable person to have in an ensemble. You could literally put him into any match, and he would make it better. If you had a day one rookie, somebody green as grass who does not have a clue what it is they are doing, you could put Ace in the ring with that person and he would get a good match out of them. And on the flip side of that, if you had a high-priced talent fresh off TV available for a booking, you could trust Ace in the ring with that high-value talent to be sure that you got a really worthy performance out of them. He was the classic model of a utility player, and even though he himself never really enjoyed superstardom that was commensurate with his immense talent, to the people who knew what was what, at least at the independent circuit level and every once and again at a higher level than that, you knew you could rely on him to get anything done in the ring. Whatever the business of the match was, all you had to do was present it to Ace Darling, and it was done. One of the many gifts Ace gave me throughout the years was this understanding. He honed me into a patient performer by teaching me how to increase tension, how to amplify suspense, about waiting for the moment when the audience is cresting before paying something off, as opposed to simply robotically speeding through the things that we had called or planned in the back in an effort to deliver them as quickly as possible. When we sped through those spots, devoid of performance or emotional gravitas, essentially, we are just performing for ourselves. But when we design the performance to allow the audience to derive maximum enjoyment from paying off a moment of suspense or delivering to them what feels like poetic justice at the end of a match, when we give that maximum enjoyment to them, then we are truly doing our job as professional wrestlers. And I never would have understood that or so many other aspects of this incredibly dynamic art form without the insight that my mentor Ace gave me. And I know him well enough. Even if I sent him this video right after it's published, he's not going to watch it. We still touch base from time to time. I know him well enough to know that. And that doesn't mean that I'm not grateful or that I don't want to pause here to say, thanks, buddy. Thank you, Ace. Ace Darling features prominently in several of the most important chapters of my life and of my career. But as the 90s became the 00s, our careers took on divergent paths. Ace became less and less active in the ring as the years went on, and I had new challenges waiting for me, but I can tell you unequivocally, I wouldn't be here today if Ace had not taken me under his wing, if he had not looked out for me. And even during the years where we have lost touch, I have never lost my connection to the things Ace Darling taught me, and I've never lost touch with my gratitude for that man. I never would have made it on to the next phase of my career without him, and that phase is when I called on the mentorship of a guy named Mike Burns, who looms large in the history of independent wrestling of the 00s, even though he is strictly a behind-the-scenes figure. You don't see Mike Burns in the ring, no. When you needed to take your company to the next level, you called Mike Burns. When you had a booking problem you couldn't seem to solve internally, you brought Mike Burns in to fix it for you. There's a long stretch of time where no one has their finger to the pulse of what's happening in wrestling more so than Mike Burns. And he was the first guy to ever give me the opportunity to do some booking, to design angles, see how they played out in the ring, and learn from them. He gave me the freedom to experiment, even though it was him footing the bill. So when things went wrong, yeah, I learned the lesson, but he was the guy who ended up paying for it. And he ultimately taught me how to craft smarter angles and deliver them in a way that the audience could understand them. And all of that was something I learned by sitting under the learning tree of one guy known to far too few wrestling fans, Mike Burns. And any video about the people to whom I owe a debt of gratitude would be incomplete without mentioning my maestro, Jorge Rivera, the Mexican luchador who wrestled under a mask for many years as Skayde. There is no one I spent more hours in the ring learning from than Jorge Rivera. Jorge gave to me the gift of Lucha Libre. Across 7 years, give or take, when I would go down to Mexico or he would come here to teach at my Wrestle Factory, he taught me not only the classic, the traditional style Lucha Libre, but its most unique and beautiful dialect, Llave style, a really interesting subset of Lucha Libre that is practiced by an ever-diminishing group of grapplers. Learning that style was both one of the great joys and one of the great challenges of my entire wrestling career. And that was only possible because of Jorge's willingness to share it with others. And not only did I benefit from that, but when he was at my Wrestle Factory for weeks or months on end, so too did everyone that trained there. Everyone else got to benefit from it. And after I actually mastered giant swaths of that style, I cannot claim to have mastered every single nuance of it, but I was then able to go out and teach that to other people, to show them what Jorge had shown me, to give them that gift which was first handed to me by Jorge Rivera. It's a little weird for me to consider this, but it's been about 10 years since I've spoken to Jorge, and if anybody turned up here thinking I was going to vent some bitter sentiment about Jorge, you are sure to be disappointed, because no such video will appear on this channel. I've got a ton of respect for Jorge Rivera, the luchador, as well as gratitude for my maestro, the guy who gave me so many gifts and who challenged me in the ring. And he's still out there. Ever the nomad, Jorge Rivera is out there traveling all across North America, teaching his style to people, inspiring them, breaking off little bits of his brilliance, and infusing it into the next generation of wrestlers. Where is he right now exactly? That I don't know, but it doesn't diminish the fact that I'm very grateful to him for all the things he taught me. And of anybody I've mentioned, I don't know that there's anyone who taught me more than him. I only have to consider all the amazing things I've been able to see and do throughout my pro wrestling career, and I'm overcome with a sense of gratitude. I have so much to be thankful for. Thank you, Ace. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jorge. And to everybody else that shared their experience and their wisdom with me along the way, thank you too. I wouldn't be here right now without any of you. And I'm thankful for my patrons. Just shouting out my master tier patrons. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Pikio. And thank you, wherever you are at watching this. Thank you, members of the Till We Make It tribe, for continuing to show up here week after week to learn more about this crazy art form that we all love. I only have to think about perhaps the most valuable lesson Jorge ever imparted to me, and it was this. He said, "The success of a wrestler is in his training." It is from that I discovered one of my own personal mantras. The moment that you are done learning is the moment that you should retire. My unquenchable thirst for wrestling knowledge comes directly from Jorge. He's right. The success of a wrestler is in his training. The more preparation, the more knowledge, the more education you can load into your brain, all of that is training you to one day become the pro wrestler you are destined to be. And you continuing to show up here week after week, that's how I know you are awesome. Because people who have that attitude toward learning, I think they are awesome. So you, go on. Keep being awesome. I will keep on making the videos. And together, we will keep on faking it.